Hello, my name is Tom Ologimento and I'm the Associate Speakers Director here at Campus Events. I'd like to welcome you to today's program, which is part of our continuing series, Backstage, the Music and Its Makers. The goal of our Backstage series has been to give the UCLA community a more personal perspective of the business, of the music business. And you certainly won't find a better outlook than that provided by our guests today. Representing nearly every administrative aspect of the music industry, from video to radio, from boardroom to showroom, from recording studio to concert stage, the panelists that you see before you are here to answer your questions about the entertainment field in general and the music field in particular. We invite you to address any questions that you might have from microphones that we have here in the center aisle over here and right over there. Hopefully you've all received your Backstage passes, those gold sheets that give you a little idea, a little synopsis of the projects and accomplishments of our guests. So right now I'd just like to get into introducing our panel. Incidentally, we did have some traffic problems, so unfortunately two of our panelists will be showing up a little bit late, but we would like to get along with the program and onto your questions. As soon as those panelists arrive, we will introduce them, of course, and bring them right up on stage. So, without further ado, starting from the end, we have Mr. Paul Colichman. Standing next to him is Mr. Brian Murphy. And to my immediate right is Mr. Paul Wasserman. Please, have a seat. Mr. Colichman is currently the president of IRS World Media, the parent company of IRS Records, Primitive Man Recording Company, Pangea, and IRS No Speak. Since his days as the film director here at Campus Events, Mr. Colichman has worked as the director of late-night entertainment and specials at Fox Broadcasting, where he incidentally founded The Late Show with Joan Rivers, and as the executive producer of a wide variety of projects. He's currently working, or he has also worked on, MTV's The Cutting Edge, Happy Hour, and the American footage of the World Music Video Awards. I'm sure you'll find a lot more information in that yellow sheet that we have in front of you. Mr. Murphy has established himself as the top concert promoter in the greater Southern California area. As president and co-founder of Avalon Attractions, Mr. Murphy has handled some of the world's biggest concert attractions. That's including Bruce Springsteen, U2, and a host of many others, including certain acts that he has gotten in on the ground floor, including Wham, Billy Idol, and General Public. To my immediate right, Paul Wasserman, as president and co-founder of Mahoney Wasserman, represents such talent as U2, James Taylor, Keith Richards, and Linda Ronstadt. Not always a music publicist, Mr. Wasserman began as a journalist, writing for the LA Times and the New York Herald Tribune, among many others. He then moved into film, guiding the careers of Jack Nicholson, Dennis Hopper, and Angelica Houston, and handling such films as Patton, A Soldier's Story, and Star Wars. He is certainly able to give you any information throughout his comprehensive history, working with the likes of the Beatles, the Rolling Stones, the Who, and currently U2. So, without further ado, what we'd like to do is get right into any questions that you might have, and I certainly hope that you have a lot, because we have a host of answers for you. So, what we'd like to open with then is possibly just an opening statement from each panelist regarding your perception and your perspective of the music industry. So I guess we'll just start out with Mr. Colichman.
Well, goody. I guess what I'm representing here is kind of a broad spectrum. What our company does is we really are a film and television company, and we represent all of the Copeland empire, as we call it. Miles Copeland is my partner. He manages Sting, the Police, the Bangles, several other groups. He co-owns Frontier Booking International, FBI, which is the largest new music booking agency in the world and the 6th largest talent agency in the world. He owns his own publishing house. He owns 4 record companies. And all of these ventures came together under our umbrella company, and we packaged them for film and television shows, as well as just kind of representing them in general when we're talking about the group of companies as opposed to an individual. And the way we've been doing that most recently, the film projects, our first feature film was released in Westwood May 6th. which is called The Decline of Western Civilization Part 2, The Metal Years. And that's a sequel to the original Decline, which was a punk rock movie. This is, of course, metal. It has Ozzy Osbourne, Aerosmith, all the big metal stars. In fact, we're releasing our album on Capitol Records, which Tim represents. He's not here, but he's the one who actually bought the album for the film. So that's what we do, and we try to think of ourselves as an entertainment company instead of just a music company, and package all of our people in that way. We've got Sting doing a cable special coming up at the end of the year, and provide those opportunities for all of our artists so that they can expand their careers, basically.
Hi, I'm Brian Murphy. I have a concert company called Avalon Attractions. We do only live events. We're not involved in the film or the TV or the record industry. We work with all of them. We work with artists from the beginning of their career, from buildings like the Roxy, working up to the Palladium, going to the Forum, and then hopefully on to bigger and better things. We work at most of the venues here in Los Angeles. We do about 300 shows a year. And again, we're the live end of the business. That's our specifics. And that's really about my company.
My name is Paul Wasserman, and my publicity company handles all aspects of the entertainment business. Small corporate division, but it's 95% entertainment. And I head the music and movie divisions, and those are the two things I like best, so that's why I head them. And I have almost gotten to every aspect of my career by accident, and not design. And music-wise, I was trying to ease out of the business because I thought I was too old for it, and nothing really interested me that much, and I wanted to go back to movies. And then sort of U2 came into my career, and that sort of has revived my interest in music, because they are most interesting. And right now I only luckily do what excites me, and U2 certainly excites me. Keith Richards' solo career excites me, although there is going to be another Rolling Stone album in late 88 or 89. And then I've handled Linda Ronstadt for the last 11 years, and she continues to astound me with the various areas her career has gone into, and like her current release, Mariachi Ranchera, Spanish-Mexican music, which has astounded everybody, because in the 1 month it's been out, it has sold almost 600,000 copies, and it's going to go platinum. And the record company didn't really want to do the album because they thought it wouldn't do anything, and they essentially did it to please a big moneymaker for them, just the same way they did the 3 pop standard albums to please a big moneymaker, and just waiting for her to get back into rock music. So I think that's an indication that nobody knows anything in the business. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Fortunately, we were just recently joined by another one of our panelists. I'd like you to welcome Mr. Tim Devine. As you can see on your Backstage passes, Mr. Devine is currently the Associate Director of Artists and Repertoire, also known as A&R, at Capitol Records. One of his most recent projects includes signing Flesh for Lulu to the Capitol label. Additionally, Mr. Devine has worked with the likes of Tom Petty and Charlie Sexton as Director of Artist and Development at MCA Records. And as Product Manager at Warner Brothers Records, he was responsible for U2, Prince, and Steve Winwood, among many others. So we'll just turn it right over to Mr. Devine.
Thanks. I apologize for being late. I was also in the 405 parking lot. My perspective on this and my point of view, and maybe what I can help you with today, is very much directed towards record companies and what they do. Most of my career has been spent working for labels. I know the inner workings of how the whole puzzle fits together, I think, pretty well at this point. I've had a number of positions where you deal with all aspects of a record company, from publicity to promotion to touring and actually making records. Primarily what I do now is go out and look for new talent. There's all kinds of factors and issues involved with that in terms of what kind of things we look for and the difference between somebody who is a great artist and special talent and your normal standard run-of-the-mill bands, and there's all kinds of things we can get into on that level. Let me just suffice to say that if any of you have any questions about the inner workings of record labels, what they're looking for, what they're thinking, what the trends are, if any of you eventually want to work for a label, which I'm sure some of you do, those are the kind of things that we can get into if you want. You've seen the list of the bands that I work with. My taste tends to run towards people who are quality artists and have something to say. I think there's always room for those people. If you're a special artist, you will always break through. Important things to look for are the organization of people's systems, their management, their publishing, their record label, their agency. And I'll just pass it back and we can start getting into stuff.
Mr. Wasserman, I just wanted to ask you a question. Did you start into this business with hopes or maybe a goal of moving into film and music, or did you just start off with aspirations of being a very successful journalist?
Well, I started as a journalist, and I got into publicity quite by accident. I was offered a publicity job, and I said I thought I would try it because I had some strange idea that I was going to become a motion picture producer. So being a publicist would be the easiest way to do it. I'd meet a star and meet a director, and the following year I would become a movie producer. So that was like 1963. I got a quarter of a century ago. And I haven't produced a movie yet. But I've done a lot of interesting things, and I started out in films because that's what I really liked, and I got into music quite by accident. And it was in the mid-'60s, and the publicity company I was with, Frank Sinatra, was a client, and he had Reprise Records, which Warner Brothers took over, and there was a record label which was then somewhat small called Warner's Reprise, and my partner handled Reprise because he was older than I was, and Reprise had Sinatra, Dean Martin, Don Ho, Trini Lopez, people like that, and since I was younger than he, I went and handled the Warner Brothers side, and it was the period of Joni Mitchell, Neil Young, Peter, Paul, and Mary, the acts I remember. And there was one act I worked on in the beginning that I thought would be the biggest star in the world, because he was not only talented, but every critic that counted were in his corner, were pushing him, and every important FM radio director at the time was pushing him, thought he would be the greatest person in the world. And I think the album sold 74,000 copies. It was Van Dyke Park's first album. And I couldn't understand it because everything that was supposed to make a star was geared, in this case, the media, radio, and everybody was interested in making him a star except the public. And basically that's the way it always has been and always will be. It is the public that decides, And I think my job and the job of everyone else in the business is we're just arrangers. We put things together, but those things have to be there first. And then I just sort of evolved in the music business and started getting important clients. But again, it wasn't any concrete plan, working plan that I had. It just sort of evolved.
Thank you.
I have a question directed at Paul Wasserman and also to Tim Devine from the label standpoint. When dealing with the promotion of a specific artist, what are the factors that you use to gauge when publicity becomes hype, and what do you do to avoid backlash that often follows overexposure?
Let me take that first. I think you know when the hype is happening, because one thing you have to remember, that all the people who work in this business, in addition to being people in the business, they're also consumers and aware of what's going on out there. They talk to a lot of people, and they feel the hype the same way you would when you talk to your friends and your cronies and whatever. You have to be careful with a person's public image. You have to put it out in a timely fashion. There are cycles things go through. Certainly, I think last year we all got burnt out on things like Prince and Michael Jackson and you know, Gary Hart and his girls and that whole thing. And people in all walks of life, when they're involved with publicity, have to kind of come and go in a well-paced manner. I think if somebody is talented, you don't really have to hype them. In fact, sometimes people, particularly people at record labels, get too caught up into the "this is our next great thing." And I think you really have to watch that, because that cuts both ways. And I think it's much more important that people realize themselves what the next big thing is, rather than you having to tell them too much or shove it down their throat.
I pride myself, and I hope I'm right, that I don't hype. I don't deal in hype. And maybe one of the reasons is that I have truly talented, unique clients, so I don't have to deal in hype, but hype makes me nervous. Over-exaggeration makes me nervous. I try to control it. Sometimes I have to control the record company. And I have a reputation, a wrong reputation, but that's what some people think, some media think of, you sign me so you won't have to do any interviews. And that's not true, but I do like to control the amount of publicity that goes out, and I'm very nervous in trying to control it. Like, I think the U2 publicity thing has gotten somewhat out of hand. I try to put the brake on it as much as I can, but I would like it to have been less than it is, and it will be this year, but some things you just can't control. The media are the biggest complainers about hype in the business, and the biggest creators of hype. They are also the people that build new stars even more than anyone else, so that they can later tear them down. It's just a natural process in life, I guess.
Okay, thank you.
On your left, hi. My question concerns digital audio tape. What do you think is the future of DAT in the music business, and why do you think it's taking so long for DAT to reach the general public?
Is that for me? The configuration questions can all come here. I don't think there's really going to be a successfully mounted effort to diminish the impact of digital audio tape being introduced into this country. I think the way that it's going to be controlled, hopefully, is in terms of some copyright payments and things along those lines, because we've all seen, whether it's been transistor radios or putting a man on the moon, that technology is basically unstoppable. Everyone is very pleased at the renaissance of the CD, and it's meant great dollar volume for record companies. There's talk that digital audio tape is coming a little too soon in some circles because the CD is still getting into place. I think anytime that you improve the quality of recorded output, people want to have that and people respond to it. It's interesting to note on the CD front that there are only about 10% as many CD players as there are turntables in America, and yet the people with the CD players are the ones who are out there buying records hand over fist, or buying CDs, I should say. If you go by the floor space in your retail stores and all that, there will eventually, probably in the next 2 to 3 years, be the introduction of pre-recorded product readily available on DAT. As to whether the copyright thing gets worked out, which I think all in the creative end of the music business hope does, that's down the line, and hopefully that'll go well.
Thank you.
Hi, my question is for Mr. Devine. When you come across a band which would not be considered mainstream, a band that you really believe in that wouldn't be mainstream, that wouldn't get immediate airplay on a station like KLOS or K-Rock or KISS FM, how do you deal with the corporate heads who feel that the band may not be commercial enough?
Well, there is some reality in your question there. Certainly, large corporations revolve around large selling products and need a steady flow of big income supporting projects. But I think what you have to do is you have to carefully set up a project. You have to put everyone's expectations into line so that they don't think whatever particular artist that you might be involved with that is still a college act, still maybe selling 10 or 20,000 records, needs to have a gold record necessarily as its goal. There's a lot of thinking in the business that if you're not gold or platinum, you haven't made it. And I think if expectations can be adjusted to be more appropriate to where that act is, I mean, we've talked a lot about U2 here today. When I was handling U2's first record, it sold 100,000 copies in this country. Everyone you talk to loves that record. It's a great record. It's one of the biggest word-of-mouth records of the past 10 years. But in its active life, it only sold 100,000 copies. Now, people could say, well, that was our first record, and we had all this buzz on the band, and we didn't get a gold record. It doesn't matter. They grew in their own time, and that record, for every person who bought that record, they told 5 other people. So things have a chance to grow in a large number of ways, and it's not always going straight to top 40 or straight to mainstream media. There's a lot of developmental things that can be done all along the way, and you just have to educate people to that.
All right, thank you very much.
In fact, well, actually, our record company specializes in alternative product, and all 4 of them really do that. IRS started as a college radio type of record company, and now it's gotten larger, and we have, Platinum X, REM won Platinum recently. But so what we did is we created another label, Primitive Man, which is now the baby labeled IRS. IRS started out as a baby labeled A&M. And they really only sign acts that need that kind of nurturing. And they're the kind of the long-term investment record company. You put a little act in, and it grows over the period of years, and hopefully, like REM, it pays off after a while.
I just wanted to say that you're lucky when the record company is an intelligent, far-reaching record company that looks in the future, and I think Warner Brothers is one of those record companies from the very beginning. They have nurtured clients, and they knew clients weren't going to do a platinum album the first time out. And they went with them year after year as they slowly built. I think of Randy Newman as an example of that. Ricky Lee Jones is another example. Bonnie Raitt, she still isn't a superstar. Emmylou Harris isn't a superstar. But they have grown until, they have decent sales, but it's a record company that supports them and stays with them and knows from the beginning that day one they're not going to go multi-platinum. So it's good when you have that kind of support.
Question. Okay, it finally looks like we have our entire panel here, which is kind of nice. Unfortunately, we were battling the 405 and trying to get this program underway, but I think we're finally in the fast lane, so to speak. And
must be time to break this up then.
So, speaking of breaking it up, I'll just get right into introducing Mr. Joe Benson, who is the moderator, as a matter of fact, for our program. And Of his 19 years in radio, he has spent the last 7 at KLOS, where he has generated the largest listening audience in the area. And he's also established himself as a rock and roll historian with a number of books, all under the auspices of Uncle Joe's Record Guide. So I'll just turn it over to Mr. Benson.
Thank you very much. I apologize for being late. I was born 3 weeks late, but I wasn't planning on this today. And I imagine I missed all the important questions, so.
We're done.
Okay. I was going to say it is an honor to be up here with these gentlemen who have not only survived for a long time, but succeeded. And why don't we pick up where you guys left off? Did I miss anything I should answer?
Well, I think everyone gave a little introduction, but
Okay.
you want to say anything about it?
I've been in radio for a real long time. That's rare. I've been with KLOS for 7 years, which is twice as long as the average radio career any place, and I've been very lucky. Most of that 7 years I've been doing the seventh day and Sunday nights where we track the 7 albums. Also, for most of those 7 years I've been the host of the Local Licks program where we play local bands. So there's a lot of music that happens in Southern California that these guys later latch onto, or maybe just before we do. And we've seen a lot of bands grow from cult status, if even below cult status, into something that sells billions of records and makes lots of money and causes parents quite a bit of pain. There's other aspects involved, but since I'm here so damn late, why don't we let you go for it? I'm up for being half Italian. I'll answer any question. And we'll counteract anything that's going on up here.
Okay, question. This is directed to any of you gentlemen. As promoters and as producers, when you look for a new talent, how important is talent as opposed to the marketing that you're going to supply for them?
Let me start that and give them a chance to think about it. From what I see in radio, and especially with local licks, talent is maybe a third of what goes into it. There's a lot of talented people who don't have the brains or the willpower to last, to make it through. You have to have persistence. Is that the good word for it?
It's a great word.
Yeah, that's a good word. You have to be at least a third of the formulas also. You have to stick with it real hard and push. And marketing, I think, eventually comes into play, but in order for a musician to make it even to the record contract stage, there's so few of them that have enough behind them. You have to really want to succeed. And these guys, anybody want to pick that up after that great opening?
Yeah. When we're looking for talent for shows, the only opportunity that we really have in a lot of times is to put opening acts on shows. What we're looking for, number one is talent, but stage presence, charisma on stage, and the way people conduct their live show, because that's really what we're trying to do, especially with new acts, is present a compatible show where the music overlaps and one complements the other, but as well that the people that are there, those people that do show up to see the opening band, are there and they do see a good show. They see somebody that excites them, that does something different or something good on stage. There's been a lot of acts that have had careers that have been based just really not upon record sales. The one I can remember the most is really a long time ago. It was a band called Black Oak, Arkansas. They never sold any records, but they always sold out concerts, simply because they were a great live band for what they did at that time. So those are kind of the things that we look for. But really, we go out and we see a lot of bands. We go to a lot of clubs and stuff. And talent is first and foremost. That's what I think we all are looking for. We just take it a step further because what doesn't translate on an album is what happens on the stage.
Okay, so you believe that two-thirds of it is marketing. Would you say that the more marketing you put into an artist, the more successful he or she is likely to be?
I think somebody else can take that one.
The only thing I would say about the relationship between marketing and the artist is that I would liken it maybe to a football team. The artist is the halfback who's got the ball, and the marketing people are doing the blocking and keeping everything else out of the way and letting that artist or that player reach the goal that is within them to reach. A good marketing team does that very effectively and realizes the maximum potential out of the acts that they have. And people who don't do their marketing right may have good artists, but don't get all the way to the goal line.
Okay, thank you.
I would say that the look, the presence, the stage ability is very, very important, and that's what we're going to get the initial attention. But the thing that's going to make you last and going to make you become a dominant star is talent. So like everything else, you need everything, but talent is the final word. The look, the stance can evolve, can change if you're lucky enough to have someone with patience, but in the long run, I think it's talent.
From our perspective at IRS, what we do is we're completely talent-oriented because we do it a little bit of a different way. Miles really won't sign anybody who's the least bit established. He likes to sign people who are really, really rough. And as a manager, he forms their image and their look. And we're image-oriented, but not marketing-oriented. We don't try to package bands, but all of the IRS artists, be it Sting or be it the Bangles or be it REM, have that certain kind of, it's just the IRS feel to it, which is, I wouldn't say anti-marketing, but just a very hip sensibility. And to prepackage a band for us or to try to market them intensely wouldn't work for the way we do music. So what we look is for a very, very talented group of people that are flexible, easy to work with, that we can guide through the forest of the music business.
Okay, thank you, gentlemen.
My question is for Mr. Devine. I'd like to know what you think the best way to get your tapes heard or your videos seen is, and how to decide which of the many companies to approach.
Well, let me take the second half of that first. You should decide what companies to approach based on what you're bringing to the party, either as an artist or a manager or the combination of what you have to offer. There are creative labels, there are business-oriented labels, there's large labels, there's small labels. A lot of times people think they should go for the biggest label, and that's not necessarily the best way to go. You have to go where you can find a marriage of what you have to bring to the party, as well as the people who can, on the other side of that can do what you need to have done. Some people don't have enough time to pay attention, particularly if it's a little act. Other people are looking for little acts that they can break and make their name as well as making yours. How you get into the position with those people is varied. The best thing I tell people is that if you can create a buzz, you will have people there. If there's a hot buzz on a band in this town, there was a band from Seattle the other night called Soundgarden. That's a Jane's Addiction kind of heavy metal band. And they played at Club Lingerie. Every single record company was represented at that gig. Why? Because they had all gotten tapes. Had they all read about them? Not necessarily, but there was a buzz around about this band. If you create a buzz, you will get people out. I don't care if you're in LA or if you're in the middle of Texas or Nashville or wherever you are, if you're in London or Paris. If you get enough of a buzz going, people will come to see you. Barring that, you have to realize what talent acquisition A&R people are up against, which is being flooded by every conceivable source. I mean, not only are we dealing with bands that are playing the local club circuit, but we have plenty of managers that have new clients where they send us tapes. I personally am involved in a lot of soundtrack work, and I'm always going to screenings, and you're competing with Paramount Pictures' latest project for the attention of somebody in a position like this. And I think you have to be clever enough to get your message through to them. Sending tapes in the mail, unsolicited tapes, are something that we don't deal with. Other companies do. They have listeners, but there are not too many success stories really from the pack of unsolicited tapes. You have to be doing something unique and something that will create interest. And when you've got that interest and create a buzz and have something legitimate, people will find you.
I have a question, or a couple questions actually, related to the club scene. When I was in high school, I used to go to clubs and see bands like X and Squeeze and the Motels, and these were bands that had one or two albums out at the time. And my first question is, and I guess directed at all of you, is the club scene really not as good today as it was then, or am I just spending too much time in the library? And my next question is, I guess, primarily directed at Brian. As far as bands go these days, do you feel that the club scene is being skipped and that bands, as soon as they come out with their first product, and it might be something that's hot, do they try to jump right away to a headliner status at, say, like the Palladium, and skip the opener route or the club route? Because that's sort of been my impression of the last several years.
I think the club scene is very healthy again. The Roxy, which was, it's amazing in this town. Every room has a life, a death, and then another life again. The Roxy was a very, very popular room back in the early 70s to the mid-70s, and then it died, went away. Troubadour was the same situation. The Roxy's back alive again. It's Elmer Valentine's revenge on the music industry, I think. He rents it out to any and everybody that wants to go there. A lot of local promoters promote there. We do as well. That's the first place that we did Whitney Houston, was at the Roxy. That was when it was first coming around. Roxy will stay hot again. It's great location, good part of town. I mean, all of that works for it. Economically, it's not a very good room for the artist, for the promoter, for anybody but Lou and Elmer. That's just the way that it is right now. It'll be a hot room. I mean, it's been a hot room for a couple of years. It'll probably go on for another year or two, and then it will fade. Just as the Hollywood Palladium back in the early 70s, we used to, I was involved in another concert company in the early 70s called Pacific Presentations. We had an exclusive on the Palladium. We operated there 3 nights a week for 3 years, and then we couldn't get arrested in the room. And not through any genius, but just having the ability to survive that long. In 1983, after about 7 years, I thought, it's time again to give another run at the Palladium. It's 4 years later, and we're still successful in the Palladium. In terms of why acts don't necessarily go to clubs first time out, Palace was real hot for a while. It's a bigger room, 1,200 seats. It had a real big vibe with all the record companies and everybody for a while. Then it turned from being a place to go see acts to a place to go be seen. And now they're very big on doing early shows and then opening the club for dancing for about 6 hours afterwards. I don't think Palace is a real hot room anymore. I think it's really gone downhill. Economics really entered the picture when you talk about one of the things that we're involved in as concert promoters. I think one of the biggest decisions that we can make in terms with the agent for the act, the manager for the act, and the record company that represents an act, when an act first comes out, what's that first step going to be? Is it going to be to go to the Roxy and do a night or do multiple nights? Do you bypass that and go to the Hollywood Palladium? How big a first step do you take? It's going to have a lot to do with the rest of your career, perhaps. And economics have a hell of a lot to do with that today. It's very expensive. Mr. Devine can tell you about tour support. The money that record companies put out to support bands that go on the road, it's enormous amount of money. It's very expensive to mount a tour. For every person that you see on that stage, there's 2 people behind the stage that are on buses, that are sleeping in hotels, that are touring the country with that act as well. The sound, the lights, all of that goes into it. So, yes, if an act can come into town and play 4 nights at the Roxy, but wants to take a chance and go to the Hollywood Palladium, the difference could be that act could be making $4,000, maybe $8,000, or if they're lucky and go to the Palladium and sell it out, they make $25,000. There's not many cities where you can do that. Acts that can come into New York, Toronto, and LA and do 4,000 seats are probably in Des Moines, Iowa, are playing 300-seaters. In Dallas, Texas, they're in a 500-seater. So in this town, you probably see more acts taking a bigger first step than you would somewhere else in the rest of the country. If anybody else has got anything to add to that.
It was my observation when I first came here. It's a hell of a thing to admit to, but I worked in Cleveland before I came here. And they say Cleveland's a rock and roll town. It's largely because the population can't read or write. But there are some real hot clubs, and there's some very good bands, because there's nothing else to do. But the big difference in Cleveland was if a band played at the Agora Ballroom or Peabody's or whatever else was open at the time, the band usually got paid. And if you're an entry-level rock and roll band here in this town, you practically have to pay the club in order to get into the door, which I thought was pretty scandalous when I first got here. And I think that's one of the things that helped kill off the scene. After the first waves of people you saw, after they moved into bigger venues, I don't think there was anybody who could really draw a crowd. And from the tapes and stuff that we've gotten over the last year and a half, I know the music scene in Southern California has improved incredibly. So when we first started the show, maybe 1 out of 5 tapes was good enough to put on the air. Now we're lucky if we reject 1 out of 5 because the quality's so much better, but at least half those bands aren't playing the clubs because they either can't afford to or they know they can't draw a crowd by going down to the Troubadour. I think it'd be real interesting if somebody discovered that hair mousse explodes into flames when it's sprayed with beer. I think that'd make a lot of bands and it'd thin things out a bit. But as far as getting to Brian's level, I think it's much more difficult to prove you have a viable show, especially lately in this town.
When we talk about the club scene, we talk about a different scene altogether. We talk about the underground clubs, because that's where our artists start and concentrate. Clubs like Scream and Performance, and the clubs that are in downtown LA one night a week on a Saturday. And when we have a real new artist, one that we may have discovered off the cutting edge or one of our other tools we use for A&R, that's where we'll start them there. I mean, I remember Timbuk 3, which is now one of our bigger artists on the label. They did a song called The Future's So Bright I Gotta Wear Shades, which became real successful. We started them at Texas Records in Santa Monica, which has I think there were 11 people there, and they passed the hat. And we tend to start in that whole scene down, and then, I would think they played Performance after that and played around. And just, the underground scene is very exciting, and that didn't even exist a few years ago. And if you really want to kind of get down and get dirty, that's the place to hang out. And they usually start around midnight on Saturday or some on Friday. Now there's clubs virtually every night of the week. There's a new Monday night club in West LA, Flaming Colossus. I forgot what night it's on, but it's around. And you really find very interesting new bands there. And also they're very anxious to give new bands a chance. They're very flexible. They don't pay them anything, but then again, it doesn't cost them much. So the bands go in, have a good time. They meet a lot of people in the business. It's a real kind of casual way to enter and test your work.
Thank you.
Okay, we started a little bit late, and because of that, I would like to continue just a little bit, considering the considerable amount of questions that we have left. But because of time constraints on both of our guests and people who have 1 o'clock classes, we would like to keep the questions short and limit it to the people who are currently